Okay, so TTS go the extra mile. In fact, we went 138 miles last Saturday. Drove up to Immingham Docks in South Yorkshire. Picked up this bike, which is a beautiful Gen 2. Really well looked after. Got Yoshi slip-ons. But he wants a supercharger kit. Not waiting for any lag to disappear. It's 75. So we've got stuck in straight away. We've had the engine out, put the spacer under the barrel, stronger head studs, hermetic gasket, back together again. That's back in the chassis. It got slip-ons on it, the Yoshi slip-ons, but it still kept the cats and the stock headers, and they're a restriction. So we've replaced them with Black Widow header set that is in nice stainless steel, quality system, and we should get more power out of it than with these cats. The cats are always a limitation. As you can see, we're almost there. We've got supercharger still got to go in. Got the change of alternator case for the one that suits our supercharger. So the bracket will come up here, supercharger will sit in here. Pipework will connect from the supercharger to here. Blow-off valve, pipeworks come around here and into the intercooler, out of the intercooler into the inlet of the engine, and all that nice cool air is going to make him a lot more power. So by the end of play today we should be up and running. We'll do you another update later. Got the lower breather box in. Our breather box that brings breather box much lower, so we've got room for the air filter in here. We've got some air deflectors going to be bolted just here and here, so that'll push most of the air up through the intercooler and through the supercharger oil cooler, which is sat on top here. There will be some air that will go round and through the throttle bodies, which will send cool air to the air filter. So the overall package is very compact. It's an all-weather kit. You know, the air filter's in here, so it's away from all the road dirt. We're not hanging it off the side like we used to with our old kit, or like the turbo kits have. It's all hidden away, makes it an all-weather kit, and it's going to make some really good horsepower. So later today, hopefully we'll be on the dyno, and we'll have her up and running and see what she makes. Okay, so we're getting well on with the supercharged Hayabusa that came in from Scandinavia last week. Engine's been out, compression's lowered, supercharger kit's on, all back in. We've replaced the stock headers, which have the catalytic converters in, with a set of headers, stainless steel headers that are free flowing. This should help us get some more power, but it won't give anywhere near the power that such a Kropowicz exhaust would give, or a full Yoshi 4-into-1. So the customer has to keep the noise down, so having two silencers is working for him in his country. And the headers are going to release more gas than what the stock headers would do. So this is the best compromise we can do for this customer. And it's going to be interesting to see what the difference in horsepower is going to be over running a full Kropowicz system. We'll look at the differences when I finish mapping it. He also wants, this has got A, B and C modes because it's a Gen 2. So we're going for full power on A mode, reduced power on B. So we go from something like 350 on A mode. He wants 250 on B mode, and then C will be for rain, so we'll pull the throttle angles right back and just make it really tame and steady for wet weather conditions. Looking forward to doing the mapping and getting it sorted, and later today I'll show you the results. Something else of interest is cooling of the intercooler. On the road, these ducts push a huge amount of air through the intercooler. And from our experiments with the Super Booster, we found that the air temperature stays really good and is generally below 40 degrees when you're doing any speed and acceleration. On the dyno, we don't get that option. We've got our fans, which are pushing out something like 40, 50 miles an hour. And there's not a great volume of air being pushed through. So we're going to have to watch our temperatures when we're testing, because it's likely that the temperatures will go right up if I don't use any fan at all. We could see 100 degrees C. And this is a note to you dyno testers, you remapping guys. If you've got one of our supercharger kits, you've got to make sure that the intake temperature stays realistic. Not having a fan blowing through the air through the intercooler, you'll get hideous heat soak, and you won't get the performance out the bike that's there when it's on the road. Because on the road the temperatures come right down, and you've got to make sure that you simulate that on the dyno. If you don't, your mapping is going to be out, your horsepower is going to be down, and you also stand a chance of doing damage to the engine because temperatures are just too high. So all the time you're mapping with our supercharger conversions, you make sure that the temperatures are realistic. A lot of dyno centers don't have what I call decent fans and decent airflow through their dyno cell, and you pay penalties for that. So you guys out there, try and do a good job and heed what I say. Okay, so we spent a good 2 days mapping this Scandinavian supercharged Gen 2 booster. He wanted horsepower settings for full power on A setting, reduced to 250 on B setting, and a wet setting where we pull the power right back. So that's what we've been trying to achieve. And it's quite interesting really how fuel and boost and power all compare. But we're running 4x2x2 exhaust system. It's not the most efficient exhaust system in the world. It's not as good as an Akropovich full system or a Yosh. But we're still making 343 horsepower and 181 foot-pound of torque, so the torque's still there. Peak horsepower is not quite so good. But very torquey, very smooth power curve. I love the torque. Torque from 6,000 right the way to red line. She's over 160 foot-pound of torque. Maxing out at 181 at 9,000 revs, just here. So really, really nice curve and should be delightful to drive.